Hey everyone, this is Kevin, your entrepreneur, and today we're going to talk about a app that I have yet to talk about, and it's unfortunate that this is the subject that we have to start the conversation on, and in fact, I have to be honest, I'm a little terrified because I think I'm going to get a lot of dislikes because I think some people are going to misrepresent, or not misrepresent, I should say misunderstand what I'm saying here, but yeah, I guess that's a chance I'm going to have to take because this definitely ticked me off. It ticked me off enough to delay my nap, which I definitely need before I go out driving for the Halloween weekend to make this video. So I am showing an email that I got from Airbnb, and I guess before we start, since we've never discussed Airbnb before, Airbnb is basically hotels for Uber. If you have an extra room in your house, or a shed, or an item you don't need, you can rent it out through Airbnb. And it's that simple. And, I have not used it a lot, but I do have a shed in the back, so once in a while somebody does rent it out, and it has worked out largely fine for me. However, here's the thing. Airbnb is launching a new thing called the Airbnb Community Commitment. And while this agreement might sound really good on paper, it is in fact totally against the independent contractor agreement you set up for yourself, and in fact, it is also anti-business, as far as I see. So I'm going to read the email, and I will, of course, comment on what the issue is as I see it. Hi. Earlier this year, we launched a comprehensive effort to fight bias and discrimination in the Airbnb community. As a result of this effort, we're asking everyone to agree to a community commitment beginning November 1st. Agreeing to this commitment will affect your use of Airbnb, so we want to give you a heads up about it. What is the community commitment? You commit to treat everybody, regardless of race, religion, national origin, ethnicity, disability, sex, gender, identity, sexual orientation, or age, with respect and without judgment or bias. How do I accept the commitment? On or after November 1st, we'll show you the commitment when you log into or open the Airbnb website, mobile, or tablet app, and will automatically ask you to accept. What if I decline the commitment? If you decline the commitment, you won't be able to host or book using Airbnb, and you have the option to cancel your account. Once your account is canceled, future book trips will be canceled. You will still be able to browse Airbnb, but you won't be able to book any reservations or host any guests. What if I have feedback about the commitment? We welcome your feedback about the community, commitment, and all of our non-discrimination efforts. Feel free to read more about the commitment. You can also reach out to us at allbelong@airbnb.com. Signed, the Airbnb team. So, now again, when you... oh, by the way, I also love that little sent with heart from Airbnb, which this is anything but heart or love. So, of course, some of you might say up front, well, what's wrong with that? That sounds reasonable. But the thing is, it's actually very unreasonable when you get down to it, for a few reasons. And rather than start at the beginning, I will start at the end where it says, what if I have feedback about the commitment? Well, I have feedback about the commitment. So I am making this video, and I will share it with Airbnb personally and directly as well, because I feel they should hear about this. So first, what is the community commitment? Let's start with that. And it says you commit to treat everyone, regardless of race, religion, national origin, ethnicity, disability, sex, gender identity, sexual orientation, or age, with respect and without judgment or bias. This is the one that I obviously have the least amount of issue with, because you should treat everybody with respect, regardless of these things. However, it doesn't mean you actually have to serve them. And let's move on. I'll explain why that's a big deal for me. We'll also skip the how do I accept the commitment, because essentially Airbnb is saying that you have to accept this commitment or you can't use their app. Now, of course, in all fairness, it is their app. They can accept whoever they want to. However, it's not a very good business practice to tell people what they can and cannot accept. That would be as if McDonald's decided one day to say you have to be wearing a combination of red and yellow, or else you cannot shop at our restaurants or you cannot dine at a McDonald's. Are they within the right to do it? Absolutely, but forcing them to do it does not earn you any brownie points, and in fact comes off as very hostile, regardless whether the intentions are good or not. So, and of course, what if I decline the commitment? Then you won't be able to host. Here's where what is a community commitment and what if I decline the commitment come hand in hand. Because here's the thing. Just because... okay, never mind. Let me put it this way. It says you don't want to discriminate against anyone regardless of race, religion, national origin, ethnicity, disability, sex, gender identity, sexual orientation, or age, whatever. The problem is, here, the people who are using Airbnb are typically not in this for business. They are just in it to make a few extra bucks because I have a free room and it's just sitting there. It's not doing anything, so they're going to rent it out through Airbnb. And here's the thing. They are not planning to make a business out of this. They are not planning to partner with Airbnb. In fact, they are not partners. They are independent contractors, and they are renting things out, and I'm sorry about the noise in the background. Something's going on. Here's the thing with that. If it is your own personal property, you have the right to refuse business to whoever you want, for whatever reason you want. If you own a business, you have the right to refuse business to anyone for whatever reason. And there is someone in the hall. I am really sorry about that. I will be done soon. Hopefully that can be ignored. If this ends up being a big issue, then I'll just re-record the video later and re-upload it later on. But I need to do it now because I need to take a nap. So here's the thing. For example, when I commit to treat everyone, let's say I'm renting the room. I do not think I would ever reject business on anyone because of race. However, in terms of religion and national originality, maybe this person who wants to rent is a jihadist. Well, I might not be comfortable with that person being in the house. Maybe the person is a white supremacist, or a member of the KKK, or the Black Panther group if they're still around. Regardless of what those things stand for or why they are in those groups, I would not feel comfortable renting a room to people who engage in what I consider to be extreme activities. In fact, I would even extend this that if someone I found out was in PETA or the Animal Liberation Front, I would probably not want to rent the room to them or even rent items out to them because I am afraid of what they will do with them or what they might plan in that room. And I don't want to be an accomplice to that. So I would not do that. As for disability, maybe my room is not handicap accessible. Or you know what, maybe I do not have the resources to take care of a disabled person. Once a disabled person rents my room, because of the Disabilities Act, I have got to take care of that person. I might not have time to do that. I'm just trying to rent a room for $40 a day, which I assume they can take care of themselves, but if I'm not there and they need help with something and they make a complaint, guess what? I'm in trouble. So for disability, that's why I wouldn't do that. In terms of sex and gender identity, hey, you know what? My personal rule, no females in the house. Once I get married, there will be a female in the house. I do not want to rent my spare rooms to females. Period. It's just because that invites temptation in there. Temptation some people might not have an issue with, but I personally do. So I will not rent my rooms out to a female. And let's see. And in terms of age is absolutely going to be a factor. What if that kid I am hosting turns out to be a runaway? Or worse, a teenager. Teenagers do really dumb stuff. I will not rent a room to a teenager. And in fact, on most of these apps, including Uber and Lyft and DoorDash, teenagers are not even allowed to use the apps because they're teenagers and they're kids and they're not adults and they're not using them responsibly. Plus, if you rent a room to a kid and that kid says you did something, then you are screwed. Now, if you put a camera in the room to prove that the kid didn't do anything, then you could be unlawfully filming minors, especially if they're going to get undressed. You see where this starts getting complicated, and these are little issues. It's not simply oh, you're gay, I don't want you to be here. I mean, that's what they're trying to prevent. They're trying to prevent someone from, say, coming up, renting a room, getting to the location, and then being, say, transgendered, and the person saying, well, I have an issue with the transgender lifestyle, so I'm not going to rent the room. That's what they're trying to prevent. But two things about that. One, if they don't want to rent the room to the transgendered person because they are offended by transgender, I'm sorry, people, but guess what? That is totally their prerogative. They can do that. They do not have to serve that person for whatever reason. It's their house. It's their shed. It's whatever it is. They can choose not to serve you. But that's what they're trying to prevent. But I've just listed a lot of reasons why I wouldn't rent rooms out to people. Again, if you're under 18, I'm sorry, you're not renting my room. If you are a female, I will not rent the room because you are in the house with me and I don't want that temptation to be there. Heck, I might see you and you can be a straight white male, and you know what? If I get a whiff of pot on you, guess what? You are not going to be renting the room. The freedom of businesses is there to protect the businesses, and personal property is personal property for a reason. I can do whatever I want with it or whatever I don't want to do with it. And what Airbnb is doing with this community commitment is they are basically tying my hands. They are telling me what I can and cannot do with my property, and if I don't agree to let them dictate what I do with my property, then guess what? I can't use the service. Well, Airbnb, I do not play that game. I will not agree to your community commitment. And you know what? If you want to suspend me from the platform, then go right ahead. This is America, last time I checked. I have the freedom to do with my stuff what I want to do with my stuff. And neither you, nor your community, nor your customers are going to tell me what I can and cannot do with it. So you know what? If you just want to cut me off from using your service both ways just because I feel I have the right to do with my stuff what I see fit, then guess what? Cut me off. I do not care. So anyway, that is my opinion. I know some of you are probably not going to be in agreement, but I would genuinely like to know what your thoughts are. And before you comment, keep this in mind, because I know there are good things about this. I know that, there are racists and bigots and anti-religious people out there. I have no doubt that if James Dobson used Airbnb to rent a room that was being rented out by the house from Richard Dawkins, he would not want James to rent that room to James Dobson. And for many people, that might be a petty reason, or if someone was renting the room because they just needed a place to stay and the person was gay and the person said no, you might see that as homophobic or whatever. I don't know. Here's the thing. I know that discrimination's a problem. I know that. But keep in mind, it's not... Sometimes when you go to a certain extent to try to fix a problem, you create another problem. And I have just listed several problems that this creates for me. It creates several liabilities. It creates several situations where I am personally not comfortable with doing this. And you know what? I shouldn't be told I need to be comfortable doing this because it's my house. It's my home. And you are a guest if I welcome you, and if you are not welcome, I should be free to say you are not welcome. In fact, the law guarantees and protects my right to say you are not welcome in my home. So, while I do understand what Airbnb is trying to do, I understand why they're doing it. I am understanding some of the good things that can come from this. I think it creates way more harm than good. So please keep that in mind before you comment. Otherwise, I am looking forward to your comments. And make sure to like, share, favorite, subscribe. And as always, flame responsibly. Have a good one.